Hello Truth Seekers, this is VintageTruth.net. My name is Derry Bear and I'm here to tell you the truth about Hand of Fate. Known for mobile games such as Ski, Safari and Heroes Call, Defiant Development has decided to dip their toes into the PC and console games markets. Their first offering to the respective altars of Microsoft, Sony and Valve has been titled Hand of Fate. So has Defiant delivered a product they can be proud of, or is it a lame first attempt to break out of the cage of mobile development? Well, that very much depends on whether it's any good. So join me as I take a seat at the table and try to tempt the Hand of Fate. The tale of Hand of Fate is very strange. I dropped in off the meagre main menu and took a seat across from a very strange looking man. He proceeded to address me as if we had done this thousands of times before. I found it quite unnerving until I realised what was going on. Hand of Fate doesn't really have a story, unless you count the one about you and an old friend sitting down to play a card game. The story of my adventures in this strange imaginary world were amazing though. I was fighting through hordes of enemies and happening upon peasants who could help or hinder me. The strongest story in Hand of Fate is very much the one which you craft yourself through the gameplay. The lack of story doesn't impress me at all. However, I'm not very disappointed because it let me carve my own story out. Overall, it deserves a golf clap, no more and no less. Visuals in Hand of Fate are also hit and miss. While the game does hold its own visual style, unfortunately that style made it look like a last-gen launch period game at times. Although the game certainly can look great in the right light, kind of like how we all see our exes, good looking but only in the right light. The visuals are left to look muddy and dated most of the time, but some of the muddy and outdated feel can certainly be pinned on the art style. So with all this in mind, I can only sit in silent acceptance of Hand of Fate's graphics. Not pretty enough to impress, and yet not ugly enough to deserve a closed casket burial. Where this game does finally break free of the sense of meh is gameplay. The game consists of randomly selected cards being placed face down on a table. I controlled Hand of Fate's equivalent of a top hat in Monopoly. Jumping from card to card then reveals different scenarios which as the player I had to deal with. Scenarios range from ambushes in shops to running into angry mobs. Landing on a combat scenario will trigger the game to load into an area and allow you to actually fight against the enemies. I can honestly say that this game was truly refreshing and gave a great sense of originality and fun. This teamed with the in-game deck building leads to a very well-rounded set of features and a truly fulfilling experience to play. Defiant obviously hasn't been in the PC and console gaming space long enough to believe that all the original ideas are dead or taken. Whilst playing Hand of Fate, it's almost impossible to miss the wonderful sound. Even as my freaky friend on the other side of the table juggled and shuffled the cards by hurling them through the air, the effects were excellent. The sound really serves to add character and entirely succeeds in that. The soundtrack is great and did a fantastic job of building ambiance and immersing me in this twisted game of fate. All this teamed with some truly exceptional voice acting and writing made sound one of Hand of Fate's shining features, a true masterclass from Defiant. At several points throughout my playthrough I found myself smiling like an idiot, and while it is true that I am an idiot, I think it's just because I was having so much damn fun. Not knowing what scenario I would face next or if the boss was on this floor or the next floor was terrifying. Hand of Fate revelled every time it made me doubt myself, and I revelled every time I wiped that stupid look off its face. Looking at it retrospectively, I think it's because it brought me back to just me versus the game, a pure experience that is seldom seen nowadays. Huge respect to Defiant for achieving this level of fun and engagement with its players. So as I pimp slap this snarky friend of mine to death, I can't help but reflect on my time with him. His very way of talking allowed me to both hate and love him simultaneously. He did indeed weave a complex web of scenarios and challenges. I really had a blast playing Hand of Fate and will probably return to face my friend once more. Defiant built a game they can be proud of, and I as a player can only thank them for the excellent time I had with it. While it's true it's not going to win any awards for beauty, it does have its own charm to it. I will return to the table in future when I am more prepared to tempt the Hand of Fate. And that, Truth Seekers, is the truth about Hand of Fate. My name has been Derry Bear, and this has been VintageTruth.net.